get set, where them hands, where them holes, where them throws, you know what I'm saying?
There are, you could say, two main themes on this channel, or two arguments I make on this channel. One is against the non-traditional martial arts crowd, and that is that one-step sparring is very useful and perhaps is the most reflective of how a real one-on-one ego fight will go down. So you should really pay attention to your one steps. And the second one would be against some of the traditional martial arts crowd, which would be that blocking is real, it works, and you can use it to actually protect yourself. That is not because a lot of people discovered that the things we think of as blocks can also be used as attacks or are indicated also as attacks. And yes, that's true. Yes, you definitely use your blocks as attacks, but blocks also can be used as blocks and they can be very useful. So now keep in mind, while this is not a quote unquote real fight, it's not. It's not. This is tournament. But this is scientific evidence that blocking can be protective and in fact can help prevent concussion. I'm not going to read this whole thing through because that would just, kill your attention span. But basically, here's an article I found on PMC PubMed Central. Okay. I'll put a link to it below. Mechanisms of sport, concussion, and Taekwondo, a systemic video analysis of 7 cases. All I did here, I just typed in the word block. We're just going to go to where they're talking about how blocking works. I just typed in the word block in this article. All right, so first instance of block. Through systemic video analysis, no other injury mechanisms except for direct blows to the head were observed. Since concussions caused by major mechanisms found in the study may not be prevented using protective equipment. So this is saying that the headgear, such as head guards, the headgear doesn't really protect you from concussion in Taekwondo. Education on the risk of symptoms of concussion and the appropriate management is necessary to prevent sequelae of concussion or multiple concussions. In addition, blocking techniques should be emphasized in TKDS, which I'm assuming is Taekwondo sparring, to reduce incidence of concussion. So that right there. Okay, so that's the last hit. So let's get the first hit. Most players with a concussion had used a closed stance and did not use blocking techniques during their defense. Therefore, I just read this one to reduce the incidence of sparring. And just like I thought, Taekwondo sparring, TKDS, is an official Olympic sport and is scored by kicking and punching the head and body. 1 point for a body punch, 2 points for a body kick, 3 points for a head kick, 4 points for a body turning kick, and 5 points for a head turning kick. Now, I've said on this channel too, I think that they should stop doing head kicks in Taekwondo because I think they're too lethal. Believe it or not. Number 3, they're talking about blocking skill here. Here's some percentages here, which I don't have time to interpret to this video. So go to the original article so you can see how to break down the stats. Number 4 hit. During the occurrences of concussion, 6 cases did not use blocking techniques, and the other cases failed to defend with a foul attack. So they got concussions because they didn't know how to block. Low quality blocking techniques. A low quality blocking technique was identified as the main cause of injuries in Taekwondo. So people who don't know how to block properly. Therefore, relatively shorter athletes should develop blocking techniques in addition to avoiding skills. But 85.7% of the athletes failed to use blocking techniques, which may have led to a concussion. So don't cry and complain when I'm making you go over blocking techniques. Okay? Let's do another hit on blocking. Block, block. Therefore, education using blocking techniques should be conducted for the aforementioned situation to reduce concussions. This says most concussions occurred with standing or forward step on the edge of the court. Space for movement is limited on the court, which may indicate that an athlete cannot move backwards. So additional standing or forward stepping may cause great impulse. Sorry, I got cut off there. Education for using blocking techniques should be included to prevent concussions. In an effort to lower the incidence of concussions in Taekwondo sparring, understanding the characteristics of thin and light head guards and using them along with blocking techniques can be effective in buffering. Here we go. When blocking techniques are not used, the shock is applied to the body without buffering. Therefore, frequent damages through a strong attack may cause concussions. Since concussions may or may not result in loss of consciousness, the amount of shock accumulated to the brain during the game should be observed, along with the amount of shock enough to cause concussions to diagnose concussion in future studies. So we're talking about the usefulness of blocking. 10, 11, 12. So, and why is this so tiny? Never mind. So my point here, blocking, block. Blocking is useful. Blocking can keep you from getting multiple concussions. Now this is where I do agree with a lot of non-traditional martial artists. So you could say people who do sports styles, because I do sports styles technically, but technically combining both two sports styles. If you could do it under the pressure of a sport, you should be able to do it under the pressure of somebody actually really trying to hurt you. A lot of times it could actually be, even though the stakes, see, this is weird. This is the weird thing about fighting. Even though there are rules which should keep you safer, a sport actually requires a higher level of skill. But yet, to defend yourself for real doesn't necessarily require that much of a high level of skill, but the stakes are more serious. You understand what I'm saying? It's like it's an irony there. So, if you don't believe that blocks are useful or that blocks can help you, don't poo-poo me. Take it up with the National Library of Medicine, the National Center for Biotechnology Information, and read the article for yourself, something that I've thought for a long time, that blocking is protective. That's why it's called blocking. And that blocking can protect your brain. Thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and share with people like to talk about the martial arts and peace. And as always, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Peace.